Utility regulators are holding a town hall right now to hear from people about the rising prices at Duke Energy. We'll take a look at the reasons Duke wants to do this and the pushback because of it.
We're looking ahead to a week of warmth across the area, how high temperatures will climb, and when we could see storms return.
And Will Wade made his LSU debut today, and at the press conference said some things that sounded a little familiar.
With LSU basketball, like our time is right now.
We'll take a look at promises made and who the Pack are expected to announce as their next head coach. Welcome. WRAL News at 7 o'clock begins right now. I'm Dan Haggerty. Thanks for being here. Duke Energy, they want to raise your rates. Will Wade talks NC State at LSU, and we're going to explain stagflation. Lots to talk about. We're glad you are here for the conversation. Here's our email address, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Get involved. Give us your questions, feedback, any thoughts you have on anything you see in this newscast. Your emails point us toward topics you want discussed here at 7 o'clock. Lots of you have talked about this one, Duke Energy increasing your power bills. They have a proposal on the table now to increase rates by 18% over the next 2 years. That's real money. There is a meeting happening right now in Raleigh where officials will discuss why Duke picked that number, that percentage, and what will happen next year. WRAL's Willie Danley covering this story for us live outside of that meeting in downtown Raleigh tonight. Willie.
Well, Dan, this meeting is getting underway right now. I'll give you a closer look at what's happening behind these doors. The energy company is seeking an 18% rate hike, which would add up to around $34 more a month by 2028. Tonight's meeting is hosted by the North Carolina Utilities Commission. There are going to be community members here sharing their testimonies about how these high electric bills have put a strain on household budgets. Some customers speaking tonight are pointing out that over 70,000 people have signed a petition calling for an audit and refunds due to high electric bills in recent months. As I said, and as you can see, this meeting is underway. We've already spoken to a representative from Duke Energy, and we're going to be speaking to some of the customers who say they've been impacted. Tune in to Fox 50 at 10 and WRAL News at 11 for more on this story. Willie Danley, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
All right, Willie is there. He'll be paying attention. More on that to come. In the meantime, we should go in depth on this topic because in a world where the price of pretty much everything is going up, your power bill is one of those things where cutting back doesn't really save you much. Using fewer electricity, not using the electricity as much isn't going to lower your bill that much. I'm going to get there. Stick with me. Duke Energy makes these rate hike requests every few years. Here's what happened last time. This was back in 2023. Duke Energy Carolinas requested just about a 16% rate increase over 3 years. In the end, the commission approved a 15% hike. Same thing for Duke Energy Progress. That was in 2022. They requested a 16% increase over 3 years. And in 2023, that number actually took effect at 12.5%. Now, you might ask, Dan, what is Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress? I thought that was all kind of one big company. And you're right, it is. But for a long time, it has operated with two halves. You can see that on this map. One is the east, that's the shaded in green, the one to the west shaded in light blue. And there's that overlap in some places, which is shaded in the dark blue. The thing is, all of this will merge into just one thing starting next year. And that means that 18% proposal on the table today would apply to everyone. Could the number come down like it did last time? Maybe it might. But even if it does, you are still looking at power bills in 2028 that are a lot more expensive than what we were paying in 2023. And you might ask again, Dan, what about data centers? That's a big talking point, though. Don't they have something to do with this? Well, we asked Duke Energy about it.
At this point, data centers only make up about 1% of our retail sales. A lot of these have been on the system for several years, so that really hasn't become a driver yet.
All right, so 1%, that's the data center number they're giving us for now. But is that good news or is that bad news? Because if this hike is before the data center boom, think about what it might look like after. A state report on data centers found North Carolina's energy load increased 7% over the last 20 years or so. And we grew a lot in that time. But in the next 15 years, it's expected to go up between 16 and 60%. Think about that. So first of all, that is a huge range, right? Where are they going to fall in between those two numbers? Well, we could double the growth of the last 2 decades on the low end or blow it out of the water on the high end with 9 times as much growth. And that same report found that 80% of the projected energy demand in that next 15 years will come from data centers. 80%. Not the people, not the population growth that they're blaming for this latest hike, data centers. But Duke Energy wants you to know that data centers or not, they have some ways to help you to pay those bills.
Well, we certainly understand the pressures that many are facing, and we want to help wherever we can, and certainly reach out to us if you are experiencing challenges. We can certainly provide some options and some help.
And it's true. Duke Energy does have a few programs out there. They have the winter moratorium and installment plans. The big ones, though, are the Consumer Assistance Program and the Share the Light Fund. That's that one that they ask you to help pay for with donations when you pay your bill. Share the Light recipients can get up to $2,500 a year to help out. People on the Customer Assistance Program can get up to $42 a month. And that's not bad. The problem is, to get those benefits, you have to qualify for low-income home energy assistance. That's a federal program. And they mean very low income. For a family of four to be eligible, their household income has to be right around $42,000 a year. To give you a sense of how low that number is, consider this. UNC offers to pay full tuition and fees for undergrads whose families make less than $80,000 a year. Earlier this month, Notre Dame announced a similar program, full tuition for families making less than $150,000 a year. Salaries and their impact have changed. And it's not just universities. In Wake County, affordable housing assistance is available to a family of four making $104,000 a year. To get help turning the lights on in those homes, though, you have to be making less than half of that. How many people realistically actually benefit from these programs? Well, quite a few, actually. Duke Energy put out this press release last year. In 2024, nearly $90 million was provided for energy assistance, energy bill assistance to 114,000 North Carolina households. But then let's consider the press release the company put out just the day before that, their 2024 earnings report. In 2024, Duke Energy made $4 billion in profit. Shareholders expect that number to keep going up. Duke Energy expects demand for electricity to keep going up. So what should we expect? Well, I think you get the picture. Send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What other parts of the story do you want us to cover? Which parts did we miss here? Tell us what is on your mind when it comes to these important issues and affordability in your energy bills, and we will talk about them here at 7 o'clock. Brian?
Dan, here in the WRAL Live Center, we are tracking a big wildfire in the northwestern part of North Carolina. This is happening right now in Wilkes County, a 620-acre wildfire north of Wilkesboro. This is some new video just in from the Wilkes County Emergency Management showing firefighters on the scene. There have been some conflicting reports about the exact size of the fire and how much of it is contained. The official information that we got from the North Carolina Forest Service around 2:20 this afternoon shows about 620 acres burned and the fire about 20% contained. Apparently, there are about 20 structures there they are working to protect, but at this point, no structures have been lost and no injuries reported. Of course, that statewide burn ban remains in effect.
Thanks for the update, Brian. Let's get you caught up here. The 5 things you should know right now. Police are looking for a suspect to get connected to a shooting where 3 people were hurt. The shooting happened in Clinton around 12:45 this afternoon. Police haven't shared the conditions of the people who were hurt or what led up to this shooting. WRAL's Eric Miller will have a full report on this tonight on WRAL News at 11. A third Durham public school administrator has been fired now following an investigation into the handling of an incident where a child with autism was found tied to a chair. A DPS spokeswoman confirms that Tanya Giovanni, a deputy superintendent, is no longer employed by the district. She was one of 3 people charged in connection with that incident. About 22,000 people may have had their data compromised in a cybersecurity attack. This new information came out today, 2 years after the incident there in the town of Apex. The town says that the FBI helped to recover the data. Apex leaders are working through identifying all of the people who were impacted. The federal government says most TSA agents received about 2 paychecks worth of back pay today. President Trump signed an executive order directing DHS to pay TSA workers during this partial government shutdown. TSA agents had been calling out at record rates as they went without pay. Parts of McDowell Street will be closed starting this week so crews can work on repairs to the Raleigh Convention Center. A crane will get set up on April 1st to load new cooling elements onto the roof. You may remember the convention center caught fire a couple months ago, and that closure is expected to last about a week. Will Wade was formally introduced as LSU's basketball coach today. It's a fresh start, but his message, not so much. His words may sound a little familiar to some NC State fans. We'll do a side-by-side comparison next. Plus, stagflation, it's in the headlines. But what does it mean exactly? We're going to explain the big warning signs for the economy after the break. Kat?
And we're warming right back up this week. This time, it's not going to come with all the ups and downs, though. I'll have a closer look ahead and to Easter weekend coming up.
Look, they're pretty mad for a coach they didn't think was very good. That is your quote of the day, and it's coming from Will Wade, the former NC State men's basketball coach, speaking at his introductory press conference at LSU. Is that what was happening? Is that what people were saying? I guess so. We should mention that Wade also said NC State was great to me. And he also said he thinks his departure was mischaracterized, as he's not going to get into a back and forth about it. But we'd like to get into a bit of a back and forth and show you something that we prepared tonight, not between Wade and the fans, but between Wade and himself. You see, the things he said on his first day back at LSU sounded an awful lot like the things he was saying on his first day at NC State.
I want everybody to know with LSU basketball, like, our time is now.
Our time is right now.
And we're going to build this thing quick. This is not something that's going to take long. We're going to get in that portal when it opens next Monday, and we're going to put together a winner.
I want to be very clear. This is not a rebuild. We're going to be in the top part of the ACC next year, and we're going to the NCAA tournament. This is not something that's going to take a whole lot of time. All right?
We're going to get this program back to the NCAA tournament and back to the top of the SEC in short order.
At NC State, it's going to be a reckoning for the ACC. It's going to be a reckoning for college basketball. And it's coming. And it's coming soon.
We're going to recruit competitors that understand what it means to put those three letters across your chest every day. You won't find anybody that's more proud to wear that LSU and State of Louisiana than this guy right here. And we're going to find 15 players that are willing to lay it on the line for us every night.
I'm thankful, and I want the people in our program to be thankful to be at NC State. We're not bringing anybody in, player, coach, anybody, that doesn't feel like this is the best place in the country. And that doesn't feel like we can win and win extremely big and fast.
Did we mischaracterize anything there, Coach? Anyhow, why don't we move on? The Wolfpack, certainly, they're moving on. Looks like a new head coach is on the way, and he has some history with NC State. Justin Gainey, a former player at NC State, appears to be the next man up. He's a North Carolina guy. Gainey was born in High Point, went to Greensboro Day School, then from there to NC State, where he played basketball from '96 to 2000. He's been an assistant coach at Tennessee for the last few years, and sources tell WRAL he's taken the top job in Raleigh next. The Board of Trustees would have to approve him. Sounds like that vote might happen soon, too. There's an emergency meeting at 3 p.m. tomorrow about a personnel matter. We'll let you know when they make it official. For this next story, I want to bring in some feedback we got from a viewer named Steve. He wrote, "Thank you for your excellent explanation on the K-shaped economy. Please keep it up." So Steve is talking about an in-depth segment that we did a couple of months ago when we explained the K-shaped economy. Apparently, Steve really liked it. Thank you. If you missed it, you can find it over on the WRAL YouTube page. But Steve wants us to keep it up. So tonight, why don't we do that? Let's talk about another one of those economist terms. Let's talk about stagflation. The term is in the headlines as economists talk about the war in Iran. And 5 on your side's Alex Littlehales looks at what it means and helps pump the brakes a bit on the conversation.
Stagflation, a rarely seen economic outcome. So what is it? It stands for when there is a stagnant economy and inflation at the same time. It's a combination of three things: high inflation, high unemployment, and stalled economic growth. The term has made headlines in recent days.
Why are analysts and economists starting to talk about it? Things like oil shocks, when you see a jump in prices because of, that's kind of historic. That's when we've seen it in the past, where that jump in prices causes the economy to weaken.
Gerald Cohen, chief economist at UNC's Kenan Institute of Private Enterprise, shared that the war and Iran's impact on local gas prices has opened the conversation and is driving concern. Gas is up $1 in the last month. Several years ago, Fidelity warned bankers that a, quote, substantial shortage or rise in demand of an essential good could spur high inflation as well as an economic downturn. Cohen adding that we are more shielded from it than we used to be.
On net, we're kind of an oil exporter, but there still is this kind of, which as opposed to in the 1970s, 1980s, when we were more dependent on foreign oil.
The biggest difference between now and then, inflation rose to over 12%, and unemployment approached 10% in the 1970s. Today's numbers are far below that, with inflation sitting at 2.4% and unemployment less than 5%. So for now, the conversation can stay where it's been, just a word on a piece of paper. Alex Littlehales, 5 on your side.
Thank you to Alex. Kat Campbell joining us now. Boy, we have some nice weather to look forward to, especially for the Bulls home opener. Perfect for first pitch.
They've had a lot of really good first pitch forecasts lately. Last year was spectacular. This year is a little warmer, but 80 degrees, dry weather expected. Should be great. The first pitch is 6:45. Often they're at 6:35. It's 6:45 for this homestand. So just a heads up there. Only a 20% chance for rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That would be during the afternoon hours into the evening. It gets warm. We're talking June-like weather this week, so we can't rule out a quick afternoon pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but it's not likely to bring much rain, and it's not likely to be widespread either. Temperatures this weekend are in the mid-80s across the board. It's going to be feeling more like June than the first week of April. Only a 20% chance for rain into the weekend, but Easter Sunday, that chance goes up into the nighttime hours on Sunday. It's going to be a busy holiday travel day and, of course, a busy holiday. As of right now, it looks good for things like Easter egg hunts in the morning or going to a service. But Sunday night, you may run into some issues if you are traveling. Now, models today were optimistic with how much rain we could see Sunday night into Monday. To be honest with you, I'm not buying numbers this high just yet, but I would say a half an inch of rain is a good bet. I want to show them to you to give you a little hope. We can keep our fingers crossed, check in for an update tomorrow. The American model brought in more than an inch of rain from Sunday into Monday's system. So we'll see how it pans out as we get a bit closer. It's still a ways out. In the meantime, it stays mostly dry, and the statewide burn ban will not be ending until we see widespread soaking rain in the area. It's a big problem with the drought that we are in, and the Forestry Service put that into effect yesterday. Looking at our pollen count today, it was high, not as high as it was when we were with you at the end of last week, but pine, oak, maple, sweet gum, birch, those are all the tree pollens floating around in the air today. Tonight, low temperatures dip into the mid-50s. It won't be quite so chilly as you head out tomorrow morning. And then as we look ahead tomorrow afternoon, temperatures reach the low 80s. It ends up being a beautiful day tomorrow, partly cloudy, not terribly humid. Futurecast just has a stray shower and storm west of here tomorrow, but closer to the mountains and the foothills. Wednesday, it may start that way. A couple of those showers and storms may make their way a little bit further to the east, and there's that 20% chance for rain that we have in the forecast for Wednesday. But again, it's not going to be a big deal or widespread in the area. Look at this. What a steady straight line on our 7-day forecast. After so many ups and downs going from record highs to freezing temperatures, 20s and back and forth. Look at this. We're in the low to mid 80s every day for the remainder of the week. Just some small rain chances. Sunday night into Monday is going to be our best chance for rain. In the meantime, enjoy some steady, nice, warm T-shirt weather. Dan?
Yeah, you said it. Thank you, Kat. Coming up, it's time to check in on the WRAL Bracket Challenge. How's yours doing? Duke broke the hearts of their fans and plenty of us who had them winning it all. How the standings are shaking up next. One last thing. The Final Four is set. We are even closer to knowing a new college basketball champion, and we are even closer to naming the champion of the WRAL office bracket pool. Duke lost. Man, that hurt many of us, including me. I had them winning it all. But Here's how the leaderboard is shaken up right now. This is the group that has a chance at winning everything. If Arizona wins it all, Gerald Owens is the champ. If Michigan wins, it's Kirsten Clark. Things get a little bit more complicated after that. UConn, they need to beat Michigan in the championship for Amy Wilmoth to win the pool. And if Illinois beats Michigan in the championship, the most likely of all the combinations to happen, I will win. So I guess I'm rooting for Illinois now. I don't love it. It is what it is. I'm going to get some feedback from you tonight. I hope some of your brackets are doing better. Here's what some people are writing in. Susan wrote in, great reporting on the Duke electric rate increase request. Perhaps mention the virtual meeting. You can have your voice heard if you missed going to the meeting today. And Susan, thank you for writing that in. You're exactly right. There is a virtual meeting on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Anybody can log in and chime in if you would like, and it's important that you do so. Your voice does matter. I know sometimes people feel like it doesn't, but if enough voices can get loud enough, it can have an impact. Hope wrote in and said, why doesn't Duke stop putting so much profit in their pocket and be focused and be customer focused? Ruth said, with the projected increase expected from data centers, why wouldn't they be paying for all of their own energy? And Brandon said, why is it okay for Duke to raise our prices to pay for these improvements? And once the improvements are done, they're not going to lower it back down. So look, these are all really, really good questions. And I know these are the things that people are focusing on at home. You keep getting asked to spend more. You keep seeing the infrastructure get built bigger and bigger. And you keep seeing your bill go up while Duke turns a profit of $4 billion and has executives making multi-million-dollar, tens of million-dollar contracts. And I know that's difficult because it's a complicated system. We are here to try and dig through all of that, and that is exactly what we are going to do so you can fully understand what you're getting for what you're paying. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Keep tuning in this week. We'll see you tomorrow.